I am a Formula One fan through Drive to Survive. I know, it's another scenery change. Girlfriend's streaming, so I can't really film in my usual place, and I'm still trying to figure out where I'm comfortable filming the videos anyway. I know that Drive to Survive fans are generally, they're seen as lesser sometimes, not by everybody, but by a lot of people, that they're not real fans. That kind of bothers me, because if anything, I feel like I know more than a lot of current Formula 1 fans who've been fans for years, surely because of the way I get into things. Whenever I find a topic or something that I really like, that's it, that's my life. I go really hard on it, I learn as much as possible, and sometimes it sticks. Sometimes I'm bored of it within 2 weeks and I no longer care and I've moved on. But for whatever reason, Formula 1 has really stuck in my life to the point where I want to make videos, I want to make content about it. The reason I even picked up Drive to Survive in the first place was because I love seeing the behind the scenes of everything and anything. I had no idea about Formula 1 before. I knew my dad was a fan when he was a kid, so like the 90s, and then my granddad was a fan before he passed away. And I knew Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher. That's about as far as my knowledge went. I knew there was Ferrari, I knew there was Mercedes. I couldn't have answered any questions about it past that. But seeing the ins and outs of anything is fascinating. I watched the test because I couldn't care less about cricket. I think cricket's honestly quite boring. But the test was really interesting because you don't get to see that stuff. You don't get to see the trials and tribulations of winning and losing, and that's what Formula 1 was for me. Obviously Drive to Survive is a little bit different in that it focused a lot more on the drivers and wasn't chronological. It was kind of all over the place, and it dramatized some stuff, but that didn't really set me up to not enjoy the sport. I found out that someone I'd been friends with for about a year at this point that I met at uni was actually a huge Formula 1 fan. He just never mentioned it because no one is generally a Formula 1 fan. They are, but they don't talk about it, I feel, in person. And that was the same case as my friend Callum. As soon as he found out that I was into it, he was like, crap, this is like exciting. Someone I can sit and talk to about it. And it scared him how much I knew about the sport in the space of 3 months of the season starting. I tried to know everything. I wanted to know who was the best, who was the worst, who has been on the podium, what are the craziest races, what are the craziest stories. I wanted to know what records were standing. I wanted it all. I wanted literally all the knowledge that you can get. I still do. I spend a lot of my time reading about Formula 1 or watching videos about Formula 1. So it bothers me when I see stuff on Twitter. It's less so now, but it's still definitely happening, where people gatekeep the sport. I don't think it's fair to try and gatekeep anything. I understand it's yours. It's when you find like a band and they're not really famous and then they blow up. I understand that you want people to know that you cared about them first, or you were there longer, or you know more about them. But that doesn't mean that others shouldn't get to experience that too. Just because they came on to the bandwagon or the train later, they still get to enjoy the ride with you. I'm sweating. Oh my god, I'm going to turn off the heating. Oh god. Okay, heating's off. I was far too hot with that jumper on as well. I must admit that I am obviously new in the community of people online with Formula 1. I followed journalists, I followed the sports accounts, and that's about as far as it went. I spent a lot of time on the subreddit, but I wouldn't really involve myself. It's only been in this past, say, couple months that I've really went, okay, this is the time I want to jump into it. I started making TikToks. They were reasonably popular, and then that turned into, well, I want to make longer form content, and that's this. I feel like I have a well enough formed opinion on Formula 1. I know enough about it to be able to make these videos, but there's definitely people who don't think that. They think that you need to have been there through the Schumacher era, the Sebastian Vettel era, and all the Lewis Hamilton era. You need to know about all this stuff. It's too hard to do. I'm 20. It would have been impossible for me to really remember anything about Schumi. I really do wish my dad had stayed interested in Formula 1, because I would have loved to have seen Sebastian Vettel at his top. Being 10 years old and watching someone just do that over and over again would be amazing. I wish that I grew up with a sport that I could be interested in as much as I am in Formula 1 now. I genuinely feel like I've missed out on a lot, but I obviously can't change that. I wish I could. It would have been really great. But now I'm here and I want to be involved, and I want to be involved in discussions about stuff that happened in the seasons I haven't watched. I've only watched for 2 full seasons. So that's why I go full on. I want to know everything. I want to discuss it loads. I want people to tell me stuff I didn't know, but I don't want it to be in like a condescending way. And it isn't. The people I've spoken to are actually really good about it. I love the guys in the content community. They make you feel welcomed, and it's really nice to be able to just talk about the sport. And I can't wait to actually be involved with it in a race weekend, because I imagine it's great. But seeing stuff on Twitter where older journalists or older fans or even young fans who've just been interested in the sport for it being passed down from generations, just blockading new fans sheerly because a documentary came out, isn't fair. Drive to Survive coming out is probably one of the best things that has happened to Formula One in terms of publicity. I would never been a fan, and now I'm a huge fan, and I guarantee there are thousands of people that are just like me. Obviously there's always going to be stan accounts. There's going to be people who are really just interested in the drivers. That's okay too. They're still interested in the sport in some way. It really does not matter which way you are interested in the sport, as long as you are. And we should want to bring those people in. We should want that to be the driving force, to just get as many fans in the sport as possible. People who just care. People who have all the knowledge, people who have no knowledge, people who have limited, and people who have just the right amount. Like, people, you should want everyone to be able to be involved and just have fun with it. It's a sport. It's for our entertainment, so let people be entertained. I kind of just want to go and rant about that because I've just seen stuff on Twitter that has really bothered me. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and remember to subscribe and like. It really does help. And yeah, thank you.